At the dawn of the 20th century, Britain stood taller than any nation on Earth. Its flag flew over vast oceans and distant continents, its navy ruled the seas, and its confidence seemed unshakable. Yet history is ruthless to those who believe power is permanent. The 20th century would test Britain in ways it had never imagined, tearing it from its imperial throne and forcing it to redefine itself in a rapidly changing world. This is the final chapter in Britain's long and dramatic journey, a story of war, sacrifice, collapse, reinvention, and survival. And as you listen, remember, this story is brought to you by the royal era, where the past speaks with power. The illusion of stability shattered in 1914. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand in Sarajevo unleashed a chain reaction that plunged Europe into the First World War. Like many nations, Britain entered the conflict believing it would be swift and decisive. Instead, it became a nightmare without precedent. Early German victories exposed fears that had lingered since the Boer War, and by 1915 the conflict descended into a brutal stalemate. Trenches carved across Europe became graves for an entire generation. Over 6 million men served in the British Army, fighting from the mud of Belgium to the deadly shores of Gallipoli. Britain drained its empire of men and resources, yet victory remained elusive. For the first time in centuries, war reached British soil. Zeppelin raids terrorized London, coastal towns faced naval bombardment, and the psychological impact was immense. Society itself transformed. Women entered factories and farms in unprecedented numbers, while towns and villages lost nearly all their young men. Many would never return. The battles of Ypres, the Somme, and Gallipoli became symbols not of glory, but of tragedy. On the first day of the Somme alone, nearly 20,000 British soldiers were killed. Even success felt hollow when measured in yards gained and lives lost. War, once romanticized, was now understood as industrialized slaughter. When the guns finally fell silent in November 1918, celebrations erupted, but Britain was forever changed. Nearly 1 million were dead, countless others broken, and the economy lay in ruins. Victory had come at a terrible cost. The interwar years were marked by exhaustion and grief. Memorials rose in every town, silent reminders of loss. The trauma of war reshaped politics and society. Women, having proven their role in sustaining the nation, gained the vote. First partially in 1918 and fully in 1928. Yet economic recovery proved elusive. Unlike America's roaring 20s, Britain faced industrial decline, unemployment, and unrest. Strikes spread, and dissatisfaction fueled the rise of the Labour Party, which formed its first government in 1924. Meanwhile, the empire itself began to unravel. Ireland fought for independence. Egypt broke free, and India's push intensified after the Amritsar massacre of 1919. Under Gandhi's leadership, independence became inevitable. The Great Depression deepened Britain's despair. By 1932, unemployment reached 3 million. The Jarrow March of 1936 symbolized the suffering of ordinary people abandoned by the system. Haunted by memories of the previous war and weakened by economic hardship, Britain desperately sought peace, even as fascism rose across Europe. Appeasement, embodied by the Munich Agreement of 1938, proved a fatal mistake. When Hitler invaded Poland, Britain had no choice left. On September 4, 1939, Britain declared war once again. This war moved faster, deadlier, and more decisively than the last. German forces overran Europe, forcing British troops into a desperate evacuation at Dunkirk. Civilians sailed across the Channel to rescue stranded soldiers, an inspiring act of courage amid defeat. By mid-1940, Britain stood alone. Under Winston Churchill's leadership, surrender was unthinkable. The Battle of Britain became a fight for survival itself, as outnumbered RAF pilots defended the skies. Against all odds, they succeeded. The Blitz followed, raining destruction on British cities. Tens of thousands of civilians died, yet morale held. Keep calm and carry on became more than a slogan. It was a way of life. Rationing, blackouts, and evacuation defined daily existence. Women again powered farms and factories, while the Home Guard mobilized those unable to fight abroad. After the United States entered the war, Britain found a powerful ally. From El Alamein to Italy, from D-Day to the liberation of Europe, British forces played a crucial role in defeating Nazi Germany. Victory in 1945 came at a devastating price. Cities lay in ruins, 500,000 Britons were dead, and the nation was burdened with debt. More importantly, global power had shifted. The United States and the Soviet Union now dominated the world stage. Britain's era of supremacy was over. After the war, the empire dissolved rapidly. India and Pakistan gained independence in 1947, followed by colonies across Africa and Asia. The Suez Crises of 1956 confirmed Britain's reduced status when international pressure forced a humiliating withdrawal. Yet post-war Britain was not only decline. The creation of the National Health Service in 1948 transformed society, offering free health care to all. Immigration from former colonies reshaped Britain into a multicultural nation. In 1953, Queen Elizabeth II ascended the throne, becoming a symbol of continuity and stability through decades of change. The 1960s brought cultural influence rather than imperial power. British music, fashion, and ideas swept the world. Social reforms advanced, optimism flourished, and Britain reinvented itself through culture. But the 1970s were harsh. Economic crisis, oil shocks, strikes, and political instability created widespread pessimism. Violence in Northern Ireland escalated, with events like Bloody Sunday and IRA bombings leaving deep scars. Margaret Thatcher's rise in 1979 marked a dramatic shift. Her free market reforms revived parts of the economy, but devastated others. The miners' strikes, privatization, and deep social divisions defined her era. She won the Falklands War and stood firm against the Soviet Union, yet her legacy remained deeply polarizing. After her resignation, Britain entered a new phase under Tony Blair's New Labour. Devolution, immigration, and economic growth reshaped the country. But foreign wars in Iraq and Afghanistan sparked controversy. The 2008 financial crash exposed vulnerabilities in Britain's economy, leading to austerity and political upheaval. The 2016 Brexit referendum divided the nation and redefined its relationship with Europe. Scotland's independence debate intensified, and global crises continued to test the country. The death of Queen Elizabeth II in 2022 symbolized the end of an era. In 2024, Labour returned to power, yet uncertainty remains. Britain is no longer the ruler of the world, but its story is far from over. Its history is one of resilience, adaptation, and reinvention. What comes next is uncertain, but the echoes of its past continue to shape its future. If you want to explore stories like this where power rises, empires fall, and history comes alive, then make sure to like this video, subscribe to the Royal Era, and stay with us as we uncover the legacy of the past.